Thank you guys so much for joining us for the If I Had More Time podcast today. My name is Liz Garcia. I'll be your host, and I'm here with Jared Kirkwood. He's our Irvine lead pastor, as well as the executive pastor of ministries.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Jared, I'm so glad you're here. This is so fun.
Always fun. I don't know if it's ever just been you and I.
I know. I just realized that.
We normally have a third person so that I stop talking. So.
No way. This is why we did it.
Nowhere to hide now.
No, that's one way to think about it. One could say you have more opportunity to share your infinite wisdom.
That's it. Or a 9-minute podcast. We'll see. Either way.
Okay, you guys, start timing us now. I cannot believe that we just wrapped up Ecclesiastes.
I know it.
A Search for Meaning. It flew by, starting that right out of Easter, and now we're here into the summertime, 7 weeks going through a really amazing book.
No, I know it. It is crazy how fast. I don't know. This is an old man statement, isn't it? But like, just time goes so fast. Like Easter was 7 weeks ago. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh
that means Christmas is like 10 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Like, it's so weird how all this works.
Do I hear jingle bells? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you do. Exactly. But it is a great book, isn't it? I think Ecclesiastes, it's such a challenging book in that when you just open it as an average reader, it is a fascinating and confusing book because it feels so cynical. You know, it is difficult to read through. And that's why I've loved as a church at all of our congregations, we've been able to really study and press in. I think Eric and our other teachers have done a remarkable job at finding hope and beauty and Jesus all throughout this book because he's so present. It's so clear, but it does require a little extra teaching in order for us to see it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. This weekend, no exception of that. There was a lot to dig through. It's a really rich part of the book, too.
Yeah, it's the best. I'm
really
really glad I got this section.
I do think you got the best week. I don't tell anybody else I said that, but I do. It is hopeful. It really, and comforting.
Yeah. Well, as we'll get into, I think in a few minutes, it is hopeful because we have Jesus. Yeah. It is a startling ending if you don't, which is how it would have been heard or read in the, in ancient times before Jesus. It's a difficult end as well.
Yeah.
It essentially says you should fear God and hang on to his commands because God's going to judge everything. So good luck.
Good luck.
Oh my gosh, what an ending.
But we do. He also shares about that shepherd. It's so good.
Yeah.
This book does use the word. I actually don't know. I don't know if I've said it out loud. Hevel.
That's pretty close. I think it's Havel.
Havel.
I think.
Okay.
I'm not a scholar.
What did I say? Hevel.
I don't know. It was terrible though. Whatever you tried.
Oh jeez. Nobody listened to that. I think you started to touch on this, but how would you summarize what Solomon has been saying throughout the whole book on that idea of the vapor of life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't it amazing that this book was written so many years ago, thousands of years ago, in a very different context than we live in today, and yet it really speaks to us, particularly in those of us in Orange County or affluent areas where we chase after so many things in life. And the book, throughout all of it, walks you through that work and pleasure and even relationships and happiness and all the things you're looking for. It's a vapor.
Yeah.
It can be gone in an instant. And so it's this really, I think it's a mirror that we hold up to ourselves and go, wait a second, what really is the richness and depth of my life? And where am I wasting time? Like, what am I applying to? And look, we're all guilty of this. But I will say that I'm grateful, even as I think about Eric's message just a few weeks ago, where we get to be reminded that we get to enjoy the things that God has provided. Mm-hmm. They don't have to become our gods, but they can be gifts that are blessings that we can enjoy. The problem with Ecclesiastes is if you place all of your hope and your identity in things that are eventually going to fade and disappear, that's a meaningless life. That's not what we want to do. As followers after Jesus, we place our hope and our meaning in other things and enjoy the blessings and the gifts that he gives us. That's a meaningful life. Yeah. That's Ecclesiastes from my point of view.
I love it. It was great. I'm really excited to get to unpack a little bit more from this final week. In one of the chapters we looked at, Ecclesiastes 12, this shift happens where we go from Solomon as the teacher to kind of this other narrator type voice. Yeah. It feels like in the credits scene, the fairy godmother starts telling the
Hilarious.
story, you know? But I love that. It caught my attention.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to kind of unpack, but why is that shift important? Like, why should we pay attention when that happens?
Sure. I mean, I think that there's a beautiful validity that happens when this outside voice, this third person, looks at the whole of Ecclesiastes and says, this was written by one true shepherd. It is affirming the words that Solomon has written down, but it's essentially saying all of those words were not exclusively Solomon's words. These are God's words through the one true shepherd, who ultimately is Jesus. So it's this amazing, I think, presence of Jesus in an Old Testament book where the one true shepherd is affirming what has been written because he is the one who has been authoring it and using Solomon to write these things down.
It's amazing. Validity, affirming. It feels like the stamp, the seal kind of on everything that's been said. You had shared, I think, in your message that it's not just on this one little part there at the end, but it's really the exclamation point for the whole book.
Right.
Everything that's been shared. You talked about the phrase, is it in verse 11? I was trying to given by the one shepherd. It's a really important theological statement. I think you might have claimed it as the most in the whole book.
I know. I'm not sure. I said it and then I was like, I don't know if Eric will correct me on that, but I think I'll stand by it. The most theologically significant phrase. I think that's true still.
I think that could be fair.
We're going to go with it as if it's true because it's essentially affirming that Jesus is the one who has been present within the writing of this whole book. It's saying that this is a book of wisdom literature, not just simply these 4 verses at the very end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The whole thing, when you take it for what it is as a book that had a beginning and an end, or a letter that was written, that whole thing by one shepherd. Yeah. That's an important thing because the imagery of shepherd, and I know I did this at Mariners Irvine, but the imagery of shepherding, of a one shepherd, that's a theme that is from Genesis all the way into the New Testament. Jesus himself calls himself the good shepherd. So shepherd is not something that is taken lightly. When that, and it's a capital S, by the way. So when you pull that out of the text, you realize this is not on its own. It's not in isolation.
Yeah, right. And it's we know this. It was the reminder for me that this isn't just advice from Solomon. This is God's breathed word. Yeah. So why is it important in how we receive some of these harder things, those more challenging truths that you were alluding to earlier in Ecclesiastes? Why does the role of the good shepherd now, how does that change it for us? Yeah.
I mean, do you have like a good mentor in your life? Like have you had a group leader, a person, a coach, someone who loves you?
I have a middle school small group leader who still has stayed connected with me. She's amazing.
That's very cool.
So I've got a great one.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you can tell that there are times in her life where she's saying something to you that's like, that's Jesus.
Yes.
That's Jesus.
Yes.
And those moments carry a lot of weight. Those moments feel like they're guiding you and directing you. They're encouraging you. They're comforting you. That's Jesus using this amazing person in your life. I think that's what we're getting here in the book of Ecclesiastes. We're getting Jesus, who is guiding and loving and instructing and confronting.
Yes.
Right? So I think that's where we have to be reminded that this picture of a shepherd, so I think sometimes our own understanding of a shepherd can ruin the strength of Jesus when he wants to confront the wrong and broken parts of us. Because the shepherd, Psalm 23, that's a passage that I talked about just for a second. Psalm 23, it starts in verse 1 and then in 4, it says, the Lord is my shepherd. And then it talks about thy rod and thy staff comfort me. So those are 2 tools that a shepherd uses. A staff is guiding. It's making sure that the sheep find their way to green pasture, to water, so that they can live. But the rod was not for the sheep. It was for the predators. It was for the wolves that were on attack. It was intended to be the device in which the shepherd uses to fend off anything that was wanting to harm the sheep. Yeah. Okay, so now you got Jesus, who has those same tools at his disposal. Yeah. And he wants for you and I as sheep, he wants the best for us. And sometimes that's guiding and leading and protecting and all those beautiful things. And then it's also, there is strength to Jesus that wants to fight off the things that are trying to harm us.
Yeah. One of the things that you pulled out from
I felt like I was on a roll there, and like Like, come on, Liz, like just a little bit more.
Jared, it was great.
All right. Thank you. I felt really good about that.
Oh man. I thought you were going to go longer. You shared some great stuff on the nails and the cattle prods.
Oh, I could do that.
You had some examples that you used in your message.
I mean, sure. I'll give you a little bit more since I wasn't good enough for you. All right. So in the text, we got cattle prods and we have these nails. And the cattle prod.
Eric has never corrected me like that.
I love it.
I don't know if I want to do this alone with Jared.
This will be my last episode. I'm leaving it all on the table here today.
I too need to be sharpened. Okay, keep going.
The cattle prod is like, I think I said the phrase, oh shoot, I don't need, now you threw me off. I ruined myself. No, I don't need my notes. But it's this picture of, it's like uncomfortability on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? It's intended that it's not meant to be a kind and loving redirect. It pokes.
Yeah.
And that poking is intended to push.
Yeah. Right.
That's an important tool that I think wisdom does. Now, what Jesus is saying in here, what we're getting from the book of Ecclesiastes, is that wisdom can poke. It can be prickly. It can be slightly painful. It can be irritating.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for the whole book of Ecclesiastes. There's times where you're just like, geez,
oh, gosh,
this is hard.
Yeah.
This is hard. And yet, because it's wisdom literature from the one shepherd, it's intending to poke us so that we can push forward.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that better?
It was great. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Finally, ding, ding, ding. You hit the mark. You mentioned a lot about discipline in your message and how much this text points to that. And I'm sitting here when you talk about the nails and the cattle prods and how that leads into discipline, it makes sense why we don't like it, why that's not fun for us. But what is it that we can resist sometimes about discipline as a part of our discipleship?
Yeah, so I spent some time at Irvine talking about really the difference between discipleship and discipline, even though the root word has parallels to it.
Yeah.
Discipleship is our relationship with Jesus. Like, we are disciples of Jesus. Even in this great relationship you talked about from your middle school, yes, she was a part of your discipling. She discipled you. And yet you are not a disciple of her. You are a disciple of Jesus.
Yes.
And God used her to help you form and shape you into the relationship you have now with Jesus. So discipleship is our relationship with God. And then discipline then becomes the curriculum. It's the training ground. It's the instruction. It's the life application to, if you have a relationship with God, how does that show up in your relationships, in your dreams, in your ambitions, in, when you're stuck in traffic or when you're alone and you have to make that choice of integrity. Yeah. That's a life of discipline. Now, it's fascinating because discipline carries two meanings too, doesn't it? We want to be disciplined people. We don't like to be disciplined.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. Yeah.
So there's parts of us that wants to grow. We want to improve. We all want to be better than we were yesterday. And that is either a life of discipline or it is receiving discipline. And I actually think they're kind of the same thing. We can choose to be disciplined, or we can experience discipline from an outside source. Maybe that's God himself.
Right.
Both are intended to shape us, though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. I've not thought about that. It's kind of like the, not that God punishes us with consequences.
Right. He's not punitive.
No, that's right.
And he's not trying to attack you just because he's bored or because he's disappointed.
No, but we will experience some pain when we are not disciplined. Yeah.
Look,
totally.
it gets to the point of why he says fear God.
Yes.
Fear God. And I think it's hard because in our kind of present day, we look at that, we're like, I don't feel like I should be afraid of God. Like, doesn't he love us? Don't we talk about grace all the time? Absolutely, that is true. The fear is a picture of awe and reverence. It's about understanding that this is not, the little buddy Jesus picture. There's little Jesuses everywhere right now. You see them on dashboards. Yes. You see them in the sound booth at Mariners Irvine. I'm like, what's with the little Jesuses? It's an unfortunate thing because it makes you think small of Jesus. Yeah. And yet, fear God is not that we're supposed to stand in terror of God, but we are supposed to have a right-sized view of ourselves and a right-sized view of God.
Yes.
So if you have a right-sized view, all of a sudden, it's a whoa.
Yeah.
It's the standing at the Grand Canyon kind of, whoa,
Yeah.
that's who God is.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
So when you have that level of reverence or awe, whatever word you want to use, whatever helps kind of put that mental image in your mind, now all of a sudden you realize, okay, I have a relationship with that God who wants to be close, wants to be with, wants to provide and protect, wants to care for, all of those things in that we've talked about already. That's the God who wants to do all those things, not the little tiny Jesus, not the one in the white robe and the blue sash, you know? It's that God.
Yeah.
That's how close he is.
Yes.
That changes my understanding of what I ought to be afraid of. Does that kind of make sense?
It totally does. I love it. And I want you to keep going on the fear word, because you drew a distinction for us on what it means to be afraid of some of the things that we keep hidden.
Sure.
And then the fear of God.
Yeah. Let me start with this. I think that, as a parent, you're about to be a parent.
I am.
This is so exciting.
I know. Yeah.
This is amazing. Like, how many months away?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know weeks only.
Oh, weeks. How many weeks?
18.
We'll
What's
do
that?
the math together. Don't know. I thought it'd be
4.
easier. Okay, about 4 or so, 4 or 5 months. There's this thing that happens when you become a parent where you want to have this beautiful relationship with your kids. Like, it's the greatest desire of basically every parent. Like, you want this great relationship with your kid. But what you realize is that there's going to be all kinds of blurred lines. Like, we're not really friends, and yet we laugh together. We're enjoying and having so much fun together, and yet you're still always the parent, you know?
Yeah.
So do you want your kids to fear you? Okay, that's where it gets kind of fascinating, isn't it? No, of course you would never say, oh, I want my kids to fear me. Right. No, but you know what I do want my kids to know is that I have their best interest in mind, which means they're not always going to get what they want. So when they get told no, that's kind of like discipline. That's kind of like helping them understand that there is another person who has authority over you, who knows what's best for you.
Wow.
Now, is that fear of our parents? Do I want my kids to fear me? No, it's not afraid of. But I do want them to realize that there is this larger thing that cares for them and actually has perspective beyond what they have.
Yeah.
They do not see what life is beyond middle school.
Yes.
We do, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so now take that to your relationship with God. I want to have that kind of relationship with God, where when I am being nudged in a direction, when I'm being prodded towards something, when I am being pushed in a direction, I want to have this awe and this reverence that he must know better than I do. That's the fear of God.
Yeah.
That if something happens in my life, a diagnosis or something derails in my life, I want to believe that God is still here. He is still good. He can still provide. This is still a part of his plan in life.
Wow.
It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't he didn't overlook something in life.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
That's the kind of God who says, would you fear me? Because I can see it all.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Yes.
I finally got you.
You did. I've been really excited for this one. It kind of started on my paper. I love this. So I'll show all my cards. Discipline is a challenge for me for some things. I'm like Roddy always says, you are 100% gut. Like everything is instinct for me.
Oh, wow.
And so discipline is something I've had to be disciplined about, like even just that itself. For me, for so long in my walk with Jesus, it has been fueled by just desire, like totally in love with Jesus and saw beautiful fruit and was a part of a really cool just movement when I was in college of God. So there was just so much desire and emotion that I experienced for a long time. And then a season came when I didn't see the fruit. And a season came when I didn't feel him as much. And that's when I realized discipline is essential. And the fear of God. So as you're talking about fear of God and understanding, because the time was confusing for me.
Of course.
You know, not seeing him, not hearing from him in the same way anymore. It took a lot for me to be on track and to kind of like get back into those rhythms with Jesus, because it wasn't quite as natural and it wasn't the first thing that I woke up and desired, you know? And it wasn't in all the people that I was around like it used to be. So discipline became really important. So I love how you're breaking down fear of God and the importance of those two. I'd love for you to close this weekend at Irvine. You closed with another passage that connects to this idea of legacy and this idea of the meaning, this everything that we've been reading about for the last 7 weeks. Would you close for us with the Matthew 7 passage on legacy, and then just set us up a little bit with you shared about a great story about something that you got to witness in your neighborhood too, and just what a challenging picture that was.
For sure. Yeah, it's a tragedy. I mean, to me, it's a really sad story that is a depiction of what a meaningless life can look like. And I told this story, and look, I don't know this gentleman. I never even saw what he looked like. So I have no idea. So I recognize, like, I don't know the fullness of the story, but I know what God did for me as I have observed this over the last 4 years. Right.
Yeah.
Just briefly, we moved into a neighborhood, and the house directly across the street from us was very run down, very overgrown with all the weeds and the trees and all the things. And then you can tell that house had not been cared for in like a decade, right? It was just one of that house. And, we learned quickly that there was a person living in the home, and yet for over a year, we never saw the person. We never even saw him.
Yeah.
And also, and equally, never saw a person enter or exit the house. So this is a recluse. This is a person who was alone for the end of his life. And, an ambulance showed up, and he left and never came back to his own home. He passed in a nursing facility. And I think what was so wild after that ended was that no one else came to the house either. The house just kind of sat there. No one came to sort of collect his belongings. No one came to sort of care for this place any longer. It was just this abandoned place, which then went for sale and sold. And then a day came where a dumpster showed up on the driveway, and then a tractor showed up, like a bulldozer. Yeah. And this guy's life, the entire contents of his house, was pulled out of in a bulldozer and put in a dumpster and then hauled away to the landfill. And that's a process that was several years where I just felt like these little moments of just God reminding me, and it's really pulled to the surface as we read Ecclesiastes, that looks like a meaningless life to me. And again, I don't know this person. Maybe his life was rich and beautiful. I don't know. But the learning that I had was just, that's a sad way to go.
Yeah.
And it's a sad picture of all of his stuff. The meaningless things that had been acquired over life was just hauled away to a landfill. So I read Matthew 7 in the Message. I'll read this to us now, because you'll see that the one shepherd, who is Jesus, as he closes the Sermon on the Mount, he's about to talk about not only a house, but he's going to talk about wisdom, right? So here's Matthew 7, verse 24. It says, "Therefore, anyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain fell, the rivers rose, the winds blew and pounded that house. Yet it didn't collapse because its foundation was on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and doesn't act on them will be like a foolish man who builds his house on the sand. The rain fell, the rivers rose, and the winds blew and pounded against the house, and it collapsed. It collapsed with a great clash." So wisdom is us learning about God, studying and immersing ourselves in his word, and practicing.
Yes.
And living.
Yes.
And being changed by it.
Yeah.
We have got to hear the words of Jesus, and Jesus says, and acts on them.
Yes.
You got to do something. You have to do something about this wisdom. It is just simply knowledge if you don't practice it. Yeah. Wisdom is the application of information.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when God's word is given to us, and I love that God's word has a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
I love that it's not this endless, there's always something added to it. No, not at all. There's a beginning and an end. That's why I like a physical Bible so much, because I'm reminded that this is the fullness of what God wanted to say. And it's waiting for me anytime I want to open it. Wow. And it has the fullness of God's heart for me and for you and for us. Like, it's an amazing thing. So I don't know. I guess that'd be my encouragement to us, is just, it doesn't have to feel overwhelming. When you think about growing in your relationship with God, you cannot simply grow alone. You have to grow in community. You have to grow in a way in which reading God's word changes the way that you treat the person at the grocery store. Yeah. It should inform your life. Therefore, you then build your house on a foundation. Yeah. And it is not the foundation that holds the contents of your stuff.
Yes.
Right? It's the richness of your relationships and ultimately the faith that you've built.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's all I got.
that's good. No, and this is why we do invitations and announcements.
We do announcements.
At
Yes.
church. We do.
I do them a lot.
Jared is the best at them.
That's not true. There's very good hosts out there.
We invite people to take next steps into various things. And it's because of this right here, what we're talking about, the faith in action and the importance of that. I mean, it's essential, we believe, in walking with Jesus to live it out.
Yeah.
And not, you talked a lot about this, not just come and receive and consume and learn, but to actually be in action. So I love that passage.
It's great.
Jared, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this is really fun.
We would be remiss not to celebrate another book that we've finished as a church, and then also to say we're about to launch
Let's
into
do another one.
And it is. I'm so excited for Numbers next week.
Yeah.
Next week? Is it next week?
It is.
It is next week.
Yeah, we kick off next week. There's so many great stories in the book of Numbers.
It's kind of wild.
Yes.
Pretty epic.
Like, it is epic.
Yeah.
In the actual definition of that word.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, wow, this is amazing. No, there are the stories in there that movies are made out of.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good. Well, we hope you guys will join us next weekend for the start of Numbers. Thank you for joining us for the If I Had More Time podcast.